Hello, this is going to be lesson 8 on finding roots of a quadratic function. Okay, the words roots is similar to solutions, x-intercept, and zeros. So sometimes you're going to see questions that would ask for any one of these, and they all mean the same thing. They mean what they represent is where the line crosses the x-axis. In other words, the x-intercept. So every time you see the word roots, that's what they're asking. Where does the line hit the x-axis? Okay, so with that in mind, okay, so let's imagine we have a parabola, and it's touching the x-axis in two places. Okay, and what do we know about these 2 points that it forms? Well, we don't know what the value of x is, but we do know that the value of y is 0. And with that in mind, that's how we're going to be able to find the roots, because the roots will have the y value equals 0. So here's an example. Here's an equation of a parabola, of a quadratic equation, and basically I'm asked to find where does the graph touch the x-axis. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute the 0 right there. So this is going to become x squared plus 2x minus 3. Now that I have that, we're going to apply something that we learned before on the previous lessons, which is factoring. Let's go ahead and forget about the 0 for a second and just factor this. Okay, can I factor this? If you remember, we see the invisible 1, so we do 1 times 3 here on the side, which equals 3. And then we're going to split the 3 into what numbers give me 3. So 1 and 3. 2 does not go into 3. And then the next number will be 3, so just 1 and 3. And would 1 and 3 give me a 2, the middle term? Yes, it does. So that means that I can use these two numbers. Well, what is going to be the sign of the biggest? Sign of the biggest is the same as the middle term, so it'd be positive. And if I want a positive 2, what does the 1 have to be to give me a positive 2? It will have to be a negative. And final check. Positive times a negative. Does it give me a negative? Yes, it does. So that means these two numbers will work for me. So basically, I copy the 0, and this here becomes x minus 1, x plus 3. Alright, now we're still trying to find the roots. Basically, if we were to graph this, where would this graph cross the x-axis? Well, we're going to think for a second here. Okay, so here's my little thinking circle here, and if I have two numbers, doesn't matter what number it is, and I multiply them together, and those two numbers multiplied together equals 0, what does that tell me about these numbers? Well, it could mean that one of them is 0, so let's say 0 times 2 equals 0. It could also mean that the second one is 0, so maybe the numbers are 3 times 0 equals 0. Or it could also happen that both of them are 0. So in other words, anytime you have a number multiplied by another number equals a 0, that means one of them is 0 or both are 0. And that's exactly what we have here. We have this parenthesis multiplied times this parenthesis, and this times this equals 0. So what does that tell me? That maybe this guy here is 0, or maybe this one here is 0. And with that in mind, we can solve for x. So we can get a value for x, which here, remember, to get the x alone, you move the 1 to the other side, so you change the sign, so it becomes positive 1. And here we're going to move the 3 to the other side, so it becomes x equals negative 3. Very well. Alright, so let's take a look. If we take our calculator, okay, Alright. and we're going to turn on the calculator, and we're going to clear the calculator by, and let me try to make it a little bit smaller so you can view all the papers. Let me erase that. Alright, so let's press second, and let's press memory, and then 7, 1, 2, and what that does, it clears the memory of the calculator. Okay, alright, and then what we're going to do, we're going to press letter Y, which is right here, and we're going to enter our function, so which will be x squared plus 2x minus 3. So that's our function. And if we press graph, which is this button right here, you can see that here's my graph. And let me zoom in again and bring down my calculator. Let me do a little bit more. Alright, here we go. As you can see, my graph intersects the x-axis at 1 and a negative 3. And that's exactly the answers that I got by doing algebraically. Okay? So that's what we're learning today. We're learning how to find where the line crosses the x-axis by using factoring. Alright? So let's go ahead and do the next example. There's a minor correction that needs to be made. This is supposed to be a positive. Okay? Alright. So basically we're going to find the roots. So we're going to put a 0 right there. And this is going to be x squared plus 10x plus 25. And to factor, we're going to do 1 times 25 is 25. And what numbers give me 25? 1 and 25. 5 and 5. There we go. And what numbers will give me 10? Well, 5 and 5 will give me 10. And what is the sign of the biggest? Positive. So that means the other 5 would have to be positive to give me a positive 10. And let's check. Positive and a positive give me a positive. Yes, it does. So that means this would be x plus 5 and x plus 5. So basically, here I can break it down. X plus 5 equals 0. X plus 5 equals 0. In this case, both of them are going to give me the same answer, which is x equals negative 5. So what does that mean? Well, let's take a look on the graph right now, okay? So basically right now, we have a new equation. So let's go ahead and press Y. And let's change this equation, okay? And let me move back again. Okay, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my arrow keys right here to go over the 10x, I mean the 2x there, and put 10x, and what is it, plus 25. Alright, if we press graph, okay, we're going to notice that my graph only touches the x-axis at one point, which happens to be negative 5, and that's exactly what we got. And that's what it means when you got two answers the same, is that you only have 1 point of intersection. Okay? Alright, very well. So let's go ahead and proceed to the next problem. So the next problem will be x squared minus 2x. So let's going to add the 0. So this would be x squared minus 2x. And can I factor anything from both? Yes, I can. I can factor out an x, and the second one will be x minus 2. Alright, so now this one, we're going to split them, and this is going to be x equals 0 and x minus 2 equals 0. Now this one, the x is alone, but this one we have to get the x alone, so be x, move the 2 to the other side, becomes positive 2. So that means my answer is going to be 0 and 2. So let's take a quick look on our graph. Okay, so if I press Y, and I'm going to change that to negative 2x, and just delete it. Press enter. Second, no, I'm sorry, clear. Press graph, and if you notice right there, my points of intersection is 0, 2, just like I got it on my paper. Okay? Alright, very well. Let's go on to the next problem. Hello. This is going to be example number 4. And basically we're trying to find the roots of this function. And there's a minor correction here. This negative 5 is supposed to be a positive 5. So please make that change. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to plug it in 0 for y. And then we're going to factor this function to find the roots of this equation. Okay, so basically we're going to take the 4 times the 5. 4 times 5 equals 20. And now we need to make a list of numbers that give you 20. So it'd be 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 3 does not go into 20, 4 and 5, and that's it. And then we'll look at the middle term. We're looking for something that gives us 12. So what number gives us 12? It will be positive 10 and positive 2. Because the biggest digit has to be the same size as the middle one, so positive 10. And then what sign does the 2 have to be to give me positive 12? Would have to be a positive. And then a positive times a positive gives me a positive. So now I'm going to bring these guys down. So 0, 4x squared. I'm going to break down 12x as positive 2x plus 10x and bring down the 5. So it will be plus 5. And now I'm going to factor these by grouping. So if I factor by grouping, what number goes into 4x squared and 2x? The answer would be 2x. So this would be 2x plus 1. And what can I factor in the last 2? It would be a 5. So this would be 2x plus 1. Now that I have that, what can I factor from both? I can factor out 2x plus 1. And if I remove the 2x plus 1, what I'm left with? I'm left with 2x plus 5. So now I'm going to break into 2 parts. 2x plus 1 equals 0. If we move the 1 to the other side, it becomes negative 1 divided by 2. So what's negative 1 divided by 2 is negative 0.5. Alright, now we're going to do the next one, which is 2x plus 5 equals 0. We move the 5 to the other side, so it becomes negative 5. Divide that by 2. X equals negative 2.5. Very well. Now let's check that on our calculator. So let's bring our calculator to view. And we're going to clear the calculator. I'm going to enter the equation for x squared plus 12x plus 5. Once we enter, press graph. And we should see the graph intersecting at negative 0.5, which is right there, and negative 2.5, which is right there, so this is correct. Very good. Let's go on to the next example. And by the way, go ahead and cross it out, example number 6, because we're not going to do it. That example is wrong. Okay. And again, we're going to find the root. So let's plug it in 0 for y and solve for x. So 2 times 7 is 14. What numbers give me 14? 1 and 14. 2 and 7, and that's it. Now I'm looking for a negative 5, so 7 have to be negative, so that means the 2 have to be positive. So this would be 2x squared plus 2x minus 7x minus 7. Now let's factor by grouping. What can I factor from the first? I can factor out a 2x. So that means that leaves me x plus 1. On the last one, last 2, this would be minus 7. So it would be x plus 1. What can I factor from both? I can factor out an x plus 1. And that will leave me 2x minus 7. So that means x plus 1 equals 0. X equals negative 1. And the 2x minus 7, this would be 2x minus 7 equals 0. 2x equals 7. To be divided by 2, x equals 3.5. Okay. Alright, so that concludes the problem. Let's check on our calculator by pressing Y, and let's enter the new equation, 2x squared minus 5x minus 7, and press graph. Let me double check here. I forgot the x right there. So press enter and put the x there. Alright, now should be okay. So I see that I cross at negative 1 and I also cross at 3.5. So that means this is correct. And that concludes the lesson number 8. And thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.